Are you able to see me?
We are not actually.
No, ma'am. We're able to hear you, but not see you.
Not see me.
No, not yet.
I'll have to see whether I've kept the video on or not. Okay. You please continue with your program. I don't wish to come in the way. I will set it up.
Sure,
Okay,
sure,
go
sure.
ahead.
Okay. No, so,
Let Mini Ma'am also join, Anvinda.
ma'am, Mini Ma'am has joined.
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. So, shall we start, ma'am? It's 5:33.
Sharda Ma'am, shall we start?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. So, good evening and a warm welcome to everyone. Myself, Anvinda Krishnan, the V coordinator of IEEE Link, and I'm extremely glad to welcome you all to Vivacity V Week Celebrations 2021, hosted by IEEE Kerala and IEEE Link. So Vivacity, the V Week 2021, is being celebrated from May 3rd to May 9th, when the VAGs across Kerala host and participate in various events based on our theme for the year, Women and Technology, thus actively engaging our members. And we are delighted to share that more than 50 student branches have been actively involved in a lot of events for the past week and have been receiving overwhelming responses from the attendees. So today we have with us Mrs. Indu Narasimhan to share her experiences being in the domain for years now. And we also have with us an amazing panel of dignitaries to address the gathering. So once again, welcoming all the esteemed guests and the participants, I cordially invite Dr. Meenakshi K, Chair of VEEK Kerala Section, for the official welcome address. Ma'am, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Anvinda. A very good evening to all of you. So a brief look into the V Week celebrations, that is Vivacity. Before getting into my assigned task, Vivacity is a series of events conducted in SB level, hub level, and link, happening from May 3rd to May 9th. And the theme, as Anvinda said, it is set as Women and Technology. The various VSBs in the Kerala section were grouped into 18 teams, and they conducted various programs like quiz, webinars, panel discussions, article writing, photography, competitions, extempore, debate, etc. And in the hub level, we have each hub hosting a program. In the Malabar hub, they conducted technology quiz, coding competition, webinar on safety on women in cyber world. From the Kochi hub, Cluminati, a treasure hunt kind of event focused on women entrepreneurs. And the Travancore hub, the event is actually happening, the Shark Tank, a program focused on entrepreneur development. So today's is the link event hosted in connection with Vivacity, this talk. So with this, let me now get into my assigned job. The keynote speaker for the day is Madam Indu Narasimhan, a retired General Manager, Tata Power Company. So Madam will be sharing her experience, in fact, a very vast experience of 39 years in the technology field with our student volunteers. I extend a hearty welcome to you, ma'am, on behalf of IEEE Kerala Section and V Kerala Section. Welcome, ma'am. Our section chair, Sharda ma'am, has been guiding and motivating us always. I extend hearty welcome to Sharda ma'am, who is here to give the inaugural address.
Thank you, Meenakshi.
Dr. Mini, who always stood for the growth of V Kerala section, is with us today. I welcome Dr. Mini to the program.
Thank you, Meenakshi.
Our student activity chair, Shankar sir, readily consented to join us today for the felicitation. I extend warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
I also welcome all EXCOM members, professional members, YP members, student members, and all others who have joined today for this program. Welcome one and all, and thank you. Over to you, Anvinda.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for addressing the gathering. Now, I cordially invite Ms. Sharada Jaikrishnan, Chair of IEEE Kerala Section, for the inaugural address. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Anuvinda. It's indeed a pleasure to be part of a V event, especially one which is conducted by the students, the link. So, good evening, Miss Indu ma'am. Very glad that you are addressing our students and V community of Kerala section today. Thank you for the consent that is given. My volunteer colleagues, Mini, Meenakshi, Shankar, all others, and my student friends. I'm so glad everyone who is joined is safe currently. There are many members in our IEEE who had gone through the current COVID situation. They had got infected. Many have come out safely. Some are still in the phase, but thankfully, none are in a critical kind of condition. So everyone is getting over it. I urge every one of you to stay safe, be at home, abide by whatever the local laws are mentioning, and please be using SMS, as every one of you know. So let's all stay safe. Unless we stay safe, we cannot get over this current situation. Vivacity, the name, I really loved it. All women are vibrant, positive, and especially those who volunteer. When you volunteer, you actually are trying to have a win-win situation where you are trying to see where one could be of use to the society, to the community, to your friends, and in ways that can be given by us. So here in we are trying to see what best could be done with our technological orientation, trying to learn new things, give back in terms of what best could be the situation. So while on this, I know that Meenakshi was mentioning close to, when I counted the events, I think there were 63 events and more are coming, I guess. There is one more day tomorrow to close this week. So of the 63 events, many were related to coding and also improving your technical skills. I would urge, especially since our last Exicom, where I had actually urged all our Exicom members to see that the group of volunteers that we are comes in handy for anything that could be worthwhile during this period. Either in terms of new initiatives, new ideas, it could be products, it could be solutions, it could be augmenting some of the solutions that is already provided by the government or other institutions. So as student community, I'm sure you can come out, you can get to know what are the requirements, your local requirements, maybe in your neighborhood, in your society. Please come up with whatever kind of support that could be done. We can orient it as projects, either under link, either or under any other society or under site. In whatever way we are ready to support, please come out with interventions that could help out in the current situation. Okay. And also, by way of conducting these programs, what is the primary aim? The primary aim for all the students to have the best utilization of whatever you are doing, and also imbibe the maximum from such leaders that are actually coming in for our sessions. Indeed, a person who has been with a Tata group of companies for such a long time, we could all understand the power she has in terms of the intellectual power, which I'm sure she's going to share some with us. So please, please utilize this session. Please ask questions and also try to engage with her as much as possible. And lastly, I would say that continuing throughout the year. I would urge, it looks like we may not be able to have many physical events going forward. I'm only hoping sometime in maybe November, December, we could go for small hybrid mode of events. I know many of you are really tired of the online events, but let's make it as much as interactive as possible. That's the only way around. So let's utilize maximum such sessions. With this, a formal kind of inauguration of today's session. And let's move ahead, because I know everyone is eager to hear from Indu ma'am. Thank you again, ma'am, for joining the session to be part of the very, very active, vibrant V community of Kerala section. Thank you again.
Thank you, Shardam. Thank you so much for your words. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Mini Uranar. She's the Vice Chair of V India Council and also a member of the NGA Committee V. So I'd like to invite Mini ma'am for addressing the gathering. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Anuvinda. At the outset, let me thank Team WIE Kerala Section, which is very close to my heart. As Sharda has already pointed out, all the activities we have been together, and it is quite heartening to see that it is going on in the same way as we had anticipated some time back. Congratulations to the team for having this kind of activity. Like I was going through, that's why I asked Anvinda to please share the activities. We wanted this kind of, see, the basic objective of WIE is to recruit as well as retention and inspire new members. I'm sure that these programs are really inspiring, and I'm sure that the involvement of 51 SBs out of 71 itself is a good trend, though we should aim for 100%. And I think tomorrow only we are concluding it, and we expect more of these kind of things. And I'm also extremely happy to have Indu ma'am as a person of having this much experience. We are looking forward to listen to and empower our members. Thank you, ma'am, on behalf of we community here. And we have been looking forward for such kind of people to handhold and bring up the next generation, which we are really finding it tough and hard. Though we have a lot of girls as well as women, very empowered and very smart. Still, somewhere down the line, we are finding that we need a bridge. There is a bridging required. So, with these words, wishing you the very best. Over to you. And again, all the best for the event. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and thank you so much. Thank you for addressing the gathering. Now, I'd also like to invite Professor Shankarji, Chair of Student Activities Committee, to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Okay, thank you, Anuvinda. First and foremost, it's been my honor personally to be here as the only gentleman here. So first of all, thank you, Meenakshi, and thank you, Anuvinda, for the invitation. So with that note, good evening to each and everyone, Sharda ma'am, Indu ma'am, Meenakshi ma'am, Mini ma'am, Anuvinda, and the whole team behind here. So it's been really a roller coaster ride with the team, especially. So after the student STC, the V community has clustered all the VAGs. The point to be noted is that around 8,000 plus members, we have 50 plus members in the V community. And as the student leaders here over here, as well as the professional leaders here over here, you are able to manage or to ensure that each and every SBs have been really part of this V program, the clustering into 16 teams, ensuring that the teams are from its different hubs, comparing the vibrancy of each SPs, to ensure that each SPs network with each other to come up with at least one technical event within the cluster with a lot of great guidelines. And another beautiful point to note is that we have been talking about IEEE GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, but this is actually the first time as a V community have taken this, and kudos to Anvinda to ensure that all the SPs are knowing about IEEE GDPR and ensuring that is in the forms also. So being with all enriched with technical programs, it has been really a great motivation to the student branch itself to contribute into this technology, even and technology as a team to that. So a big kudos to the team, and especially being very honored to be here in this great panel here also. Thank you so much. And nice to see you, Indu ma'am, here. Thank you all. So I'm signing off. Thank you. Over to you, Anita.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you all the guests for your kind words. Now, I guess we'll move on to the session that we have all been waiting for. So now I'd like to pass on the stage to Indu ma'am to let us know her experiences as a woman who has been in this domain for over a lot of years. So over to you, Indu ma'am. The stage is all set to you.
Thank you, dear. I would like to address this gathering as gentlemen and ladies. As Professor Shankar said, he's the only gentleman there. Am I right? So I said, gentlemen and ladies, this is a topic which is of interest to me right from my beginning. It had been a journey for me that I cherish. I must also admit that this is a profession that, as you call, accidental engineer. I'll come to that during the question hour session, but that's a point that I wanted to say. Now, coming to this, how we grew, I'm coming from a person coming from a conservative family with strong desires for the education. That's the one that has made me enter into this arena. The reason why I stress this, the family background is very essential. The persons need not be aware of what you're doing, but the family support to encourage you is a must. When you hear an auto rickshaw person's daughter doing CA, that only indicates the desire that the father had for the daughter. It's that which motivates the children. Similarly, I grew up that way. When I did engineering, as you people said, the next generation, I don't know whether it's the next generation or next to next generation is what because I'm too old for that. But however, at heart, I would still like to mingle with the students. When we passed out, that was the first batch from Nagpur Engineering College. There are only 2 women, one myself, the other a civil engineer. This is something not heard of in those years. Imagine in 1964, doing engineering was something different. And once you finish engineering at that time, you don't know what to do. You go for education further, or you go for teaching, or you go for jobs. But imagine what we people would have had. Then it so happened, I was fortunate enough to get admission in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore for my ME. Here again, I happened to be the only lady doing my post-graduation. But one good thing that happened in my life, Indian Institute of Science had a lot of branches where many women were there. So I didn't feel that kind of a loneliness in that atmosphere. In fact, the ladies' hostel used to be very well talked about. Many of you might have even heard Madam Sudha Murthy talking about her hostel life in Indian Institute of Science. I remember that. Now, having finished the post-graduation, it was a tough decision for me to go further. The students, the colleagues, my batchmates were wonderful. They never made me feel that I was someone odd. Whatever, because I was a conservative lady, they helped me out. They really were very good batchmates, I must say, and I'm still in touch with some of them. Then having passed out, I came into the field of Tata part. In between, for a couple of months, I was there to do a teaching that was only a temporary. But it so happened that during my post-graduation, I also started studying digital computers, which was not anything great at that time. People just come in and people started doing it. So some of you may not know the language called Fortran, formula translation. And out of personal interest, which I did, helped me to get a job. Then I started my career. All of you will know the great, great man who is no more, passed away recently, Mr. F.C. Kohli, who literally built IEEE in this country. My career started under him, and it simply went on and on. You need a master, you need a person, leader, who can make you work hardest and who can make you deliver. This is the leadership quality that we all must possess. This is my advice to the younger generation. Be a leader, prove, and then extract the maximum of the person and give the full support to the person. And that made my foundation very good. Then it so happened that I did not pursue for my higher education like many others from Indian Institute of Science who went abroad, because that was a custom then, that you do your engineering, you do your post-graduation, you go abroad. But later I felt it was not all that important. Working in the organization itself, one can study further. Because pursuing higher education by women in those days was really tough. So as my mother put it, it's very difficult for me to imagine you going further. Then in Tata's, when I joined, I learned a lot of value systems. Even today it is known, the organization has got very strong values and every manager is built up on that. And this is what Mr. Kohli had taught all of us. It was like a guru sishya. If I had a personal problem, I could talk to him. It was in those days what we used to call as guru sishya. We could talk to him and get our problems resolved. And when I had been on leave for maternity leave, coming back to work was difficult. They encouraged me to come back to work with part-time working. This is something that I really enjoyed, and because of that, I'm here today. Otherwise, like many others, I too would have stopped. Then I also had the personal interest in developing a lot of software work. Tata Institute of Fundamental Research had a big computer. Today, we are developing programs, writing programs, sitting here on my terminal or on my phone. This is something this generation would never have heard of. We used to get some cards punched, and on the cards, digital cards, all the codifications used to be there, and that pack of cards used to be loaded, and then the program would run. This is like antique for you people now. And at the end of the run, you'll find that you have made the simplest error. So again, rerun it. But today, you start running it on your laptop. This is a big change that has taken place. Now, this evolutionary change that took place has given exposure to women coming into this foray. So you find a lot of women coming into this engineering line, software line, and you are all knowing that all over the world, this has been the culture today. Then later, I went on to the 500 megawatt power plants. we had thermal power plants, Tata Power, to generate electricity for city of Mumbai. And our management at that time had a foresight and looked for automation. Imagine in the year 1973, people started looking for automation of the control systems. I had an opportunity to work in that. And through that, that was the beginning for me. And from then on, I grew up. We had data acquisition systems. Then we had the computerized controls for the power plant and went on. In fact, at one time during the project days, we even tried to do artificial intelligence. But somehow that was too early, probably. We didn't succeed to that extent. I must tell you at this place that women who are working today, why women, even men who are working from home today, could not imagine women standing on the street, giving orders to the men. My senior colleague was standing on the road, laying down the 220 cable in Mumbai. You can't imagine that happening in today. But in those days, it did happen. Now, I would like to share a very hilarious experience on my part. As a part of the data acquisition system, which we bought from Hitachi, I was deputed to Japan for training. And during this training session, we had a batch of colleagues who were to attend. It so happened my colleagues had some problem with the visa, so I was asked to go first. As soon as I landed at Tokyo airport, somebody was to receive me. And as you know, people carry the name board, name card and all that. And I looked around, I couldn't find any. Imagine landing on a country where you don't know the language much and you don't know the people. But believe me, there was one person who was holding the card with the name Mr. S.I. Narasimhan. For a second, I said, it can't be such a coincidence. The two Narasimhans arrived at the same flight. So I took a couple of seconds to say, yes, this is a country where they did not anticipate a woman coming. They made it as Mrs. as Mr. S.I. Narasimhan, and that's how it went on. Then they also realized, I went and met them, and then on, everything was so smooth. But Japan, being at those days in 80s, so forward in other things, but not in this. Again, it is in India, we were far ahead in the technology field. Then came the project work. You go to the project, you do at site working, erection, commissioning, all the gadgets that you buy. That was a wonderful experience. And I must tell you, many of the youngsters today will miss that kind of an experience. You must send the people out for working in the field. It gives you an opportunity to learn. And if there are problems, nobody is there to help you. You have to solve the problem yourself. We had component failure. Imagine those years, where would you get components? We used to run around at the people who are familiar with Mumbai can say Lamington or somewhere there. You look for the electronic components, look for the equivalent parts and buy and then fit it. That's where you interact with your workforce, with your people. And by then we started taking in more and more women who are also a part of this team. Now, women had one disadvantage in those days. We had what was called as labor laws. You are not allowed to work beyond a certain time. So within the stipulated time, by evening 6:37, you're supposed to leave the power plant. You have got to do the work of other people, quantum, so that you are on par with them. That was a tough job for women. Later, of course, it started changing. But our HR department had already started working towards this and took permission for some of us to work later. Now, working in the projects calls for emergency calls. If there is a plant shutdown, you are expected to go to the power plant and rectify the problems. So we have attended to midnight calls, we have attended to other times, gone physically or solved the problem remote. But management has been so nice to us that if one particular day, if I'm not well, if I'm at home, and if there is a problem at site, MD, managing director, would call me up and say, is there any problem? Is there any way you can help people from remote? But I would say, don't worry, I'm not all that bad. I will go personally and resolve it. The very nice way of putting it. And these tiny little things, which I'm trying to tell you people, is how you can develop your people, how you can encourage the youngsters. You need not be harsh to them. You can encourage them and develop. Then I had the opportunity of working on training simulators. You all must have heard about the training simulators. We use training simulator for the pilot training, which you all must have heard. We built the training simulators for training our operation personnel. Now, if an operator stands in front of a control room and he doesn't know how to react to an emergency, and he makes a mistake, and it involves a lot of problems, damage, etc. So we built the training simulator. Here again, when we first built the training simulator, we used not the computer, we used pneumatic controls, the analog computer style of pneumatic controls, equivalent. And the technology changed, and then we removed from there, we went on to the digital computer, 32-bit computer in those days, and a full-fledged digital computer. Here on the development, we worked out emergencies. I create an equipment tripping and see the reaction of the operator. This is again high-tech computer. So that how the technology takes you from one end to the other. Please never look back. Don't take all this as obstacles. Go forward and always move us ahead. Now, signal communication and others, you all of us know how the whole world has changed today. Today, we are interacting with each other at various locations, how all of us have been brought together. This is again communication and high tech. But for that, we couldn't have done it. So when, as the mother says, that necessity is mother, mother of all inventions. So like that, the necessity makes you invent more and more devices. For example, last year onwards with the lockdown, how many sessions people must have had remote? We ourselves had many sessions within the complex remote. So it is an opportunity. Please take at each stage, any problem that comes up, take that as an opportunity given to you for developing further. That is the motto I want to stress on people. Don't sit back and say, oh, I've lost it, I can't do anything. Please do that. Now, from wired communication, wireless communication, fiber optic, all these, I need not list them. What a change the technology has brought it in. Then we also had what we call as testing department. Testing department is where we used to carry out a lot of tests on the equipment and others. Now, if a unit trips, then there's always an argument, what is it that cost? What is the effect? So we went in for high-speed recorders. Believe me, with a resolution of even 1 millisecond, sometimes you are able to analyze. And we had to find the cause and the event. High-speed recorders were very much used in those days, and I'm sure it continues now. It has become like any recorder. Now, as you start growing in an organization, you get into so many other areas too. Like I was looking after the boiler maintenance department. Mechanical was also with me at that time. So I entered into the boiler during the outage. So we entered into the big boiler. For that, you have to wear the special suit, safety shoes, helmet, and the boiler suits, and enter into that. And you go and see physically. See, unless you work with your people along with them, you will not get the feeling, the problem that they face. Then only you can suggest measures for them. They come to you with problems, you have got to help them out. So the growth. Now I'm coming to the important topic of HR. I'm sure every organization, HR must be really, really talked about. HR doesn't do this, HR doesn't do that. Yes, but HR is not HR department. In my opinion, each one of us is HR. We have to develop our people. We have to work out. Then we did modernization of the power plants. We went for this and converted all the old control systems to the later control system. Now, when you do many of these changes, all of you must remember the power plant is not at your disposal that you take any amount of time. So you plan your strategy, how to optimize the outage time. So at one point of time, there was a physically involved job which required minimum 17 to 20 days. But then we all put in brainstorming session we had, and then we all put in that they all had what we call as triple processors. People who have worked in atomic power plants and all, they will know. We used to use triple processors. So what decision we took? We took the decision that we'll first do it on one processor, then start the unit, and as it is being taken into service, we do the second. Then once they stabilize, the unit is running, then we go for the third. So by this, we reduce the 20 days time to 7 days, and we created an atmosphere of a factory in the plant that continuously somebody was working, put people on shifts. Now, I want to tell you that these are the jobs as manager as you go. You have to work with the team and apply. Now, HR is not going to give you manpower just because you want it. So you start working on it. Then I started looking after operations of the plant. That means you got to monitor the 3 shifts of the operator. And if somebody doesn't come, you can't leave any particular place vacant. So that also has to be looked after. So there again, you put your strategy and find an optimum solution. So every stage of your career, you come across certain hurdles and try to take advantage of it, go ahead. Gains. It is just not the technology alone that you use, you also use your management techniques. All these that I'm talking about, no management school is going to teach any of our students. These are the experiences that you gain. Management schools may have, like, they will tell you methods that you use, but application at site is your job. You do it and you will find the solution. Then comes handling of the labor force. Normally, they will all be allergic to the high tech. So what you do is you start taking them for training. You depute them for the training. You involve them. And once you involve them, they're very happy to work with you. Like we had some management techniques to improve the processes. Like all organizations will do that cut down the time, cut down manpower, cut down the cost. So there are new methods, business models you start working with. Now, again, you take representatives from the other side, your engineers, your management, work as a team. So finally, we all end up with HR issues. So technology, technical line, this all becomes a very, very small matter in your career as you start going. It is your relationship with your people, how you run, how you manage the people. So my request to all of these youngsters who are listening to me, keep your head on your shoulder. Just because I have done something, it doesn't make me anything great. There could have been many who are underprivileged, who did not have an opportunity to come and do in my work. It is just that I was fortunate that I got an opportunity to study. I had a family support who brought me up. There'll be number of Kohinoors outside who are waiting for an opportunity. Here, I may request, maybe IEEE is already doing it. I'm not, because I've been a little out of touch. I used to be member of IEEE and all in my earlier days, but not now. But organizations like yours can bring up underprivileged people and educate them, give them the education. And I'm sure we will find many, many people like that. Now, when you're talking of this technology, haven't we used technology in our own home? Today, life is totally changing. Everybody is going for using high tech, using technology change. Remote cooking is something which people talk about. When people go to work, they want to come back home early, but they are not in a position to cook food. They start doing this. So technology is being used in every moment in our lives. So there is no need for a technology as a separate topic. It is part and parcel of all of us. Unless you adapt it, we will not grow. That is one. Today in space, so many women are there. Entrepreneurs. In fact, in one of the talking, you people were talking about the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, so many are coming up. Youngsters, the other day I was reading under 45, how many people are being given awards? All youngsters coming up with ideas. And this afternoon, I got a message, or one of the WhatsApp messages, how people love New Zealand Prime Minister, that young lady. They say we would like to have that kind of a Prime Minister. She, if you talk, what all she says, it is involving people, it is the people. So involve the people and grow with them. That is the main thing. Now, when I said about training simulator, I also had an opportunity to go to Air India, where they built the simulator, because I was asked to study how they did it. I must admit something here, that visuals play a big, big role. The visuals play a big role in the sense, even if the plane doesn't move, that means that equipment doesn't move. Sitting in the compartment there in the cockpit, I feel as though I'm flying. That is because the visual, the video is taking me along. So that is again the technology that is brought in. We used to have the 6-degree motion for the pilot training. That is a mechanical movement. This was also there. Again, the technology. See, you are not in a position to separate out technology from your others. This is all I want to say that. Now coming to the most important thing of IEEE. I know IEEE standards, our organization always had a lot of representatives. As I said, Mr. F.C. Kohli only started it in those days. And we had a lot of committees formed. IEEE standards were being generated by the Tata Group, and which was very, very welcome by them. Now, last but not least, there is one sad story of this technology change, which I don't like at all. Unless I say that, I cannot end the talk. Having achieved all good things, we have also achieved something bad with this technology change. That is, people have become expert in hacking your accounts. You have used your technology. You have a good brain, develop it. Please don't use it in the negative way. If that can be brought to some people's brain, it would be really, really good. How many people suffer because you are hacking? You are able to hack. Even there is also competition sometimes. But why should we hack others' accounts and then lose your money? That's one area where I personally feel technology has not done anything good. It has done something bad. It's, I think I've taken much more than what you people had allotted. I'm sorry for that. But I wish to thank this group for inviting me to this program and sharing my experiences with you. Though it is not just pure technology, I combined it with technology and my experiences. Last, women engineers need not be identified anymore as women engineers. Today, women engineers are like anybody else. Like we don't say doctors, lady doctors, women engineers. I used to go to colleges for some appraisal or other purposes. Earlier days, we used to see 4, 5. As the years pass, you find more than 50%, 60% in the class, you find them. And women have the power. Women have the power to do much, much more work. They have one quality, just because I'm a lady, I'm not just trying to show off. There is one quality women have. Very often, how far it is correct, I don't know, we start using our heart more than the brain. When the worker has an issue, I have a pity on him. Is it correct or wrong? I don't know. But it's a fact that it has happened to me in my own career. It will happen to all other women also. But I always feel that human touch, without human touch, nothing we can achieve. And last but not the least, I'm extremely thankful to all of you for this patient hearing of my talk. Thank you, dear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for that amazing session that we just heard. And I'm sure all of the participants might have a lot of questions to ask her. So participants can put up your questions in the chat. And while I'll ask a few questions that we had already received. So one question that we received was, ma'am, so starting out in the industry years back, when technology was not popular as it is now, so what are the differences that you noticed in people's participation, especially women, I'd say? So what are the differences that was noticed in the people's participation?
What are the women's participation?
Yeah, women's, like people's participation in general, maybe specifically women, and also the society's approach to this. So what was the difference that you had noticed over all these years?
See, society looks at you as women. That is known. But you don't have to worry about them. You worry about yourself. You grow up. You are capable of doing it, do it. As I said, my friend was there on the street and there were riots, but still she stood there like a rock. Nobody could shake her up. So it is in your hands. The society will continue to do it. Like, it's little out of the thing, joke. Somebody said, if you have a rascal next door, you protect your daughter in your house. So something like that. What others do, you have no control. Can you control the others? No. But you continue to do your jobs and you have your goals set. But you must have your own ethics set, own principles set. And you have certain frame. Like I couldn't do all the work because of the family circumstances. I may not be able to do much of the outside work after office hours for the few years. Yes, for that, if I'm deprived of a promotion, I should not crib. I should accept it with full satisfaction. I should be prepared for it. I'll have it. I will have this. I will have that. No. You keep your desires to your limit. Don't overdo.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So another question that we received was, could you share with us one of the most stressful times that you have had working in the industry and how you had to deal with it? So about that, if you could share with us.
Which mood?
One of the most stressful times that you have had while you were in the career.
Stressful time. That's one of the most stressful times was, I was talking to you about that shutdown of this 3-week shutdown. And I had to plan something to do it. And at the same time, we also had during that shutdown, there was, as you all know, some sit-down strike or somebody going on strike. But I have to fulfill that's the most difficult time. So you go about convincing, you use your technique of breaking the groups, taking them aside, convincing them. Yes. But I would say that most of the time, these people who strike, they're striking for the sake because they have to strike. Somebody has told them. But if you go and convince, it is ultimately your human relationship with the people. Anything? Somebody has a question? Somebody has a question?
No, ma'am. You might go ahead. Yeah, ma'am. Please go ahead.
So, so that is where I had a tough time, that I had to do a job which originally we anticipated it cannot be done within a period of 3 weeks. And when we put our brains together, then we said, okay, by doing that, I'm sacrificing certain amount of reliability. Yes, having sacrificed the reliability, I'm able to achieve it. That was a very, very tough time. Project times are always tough because you always come across difficult problems, which you have to solve at site yourself.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So we have one more question that we had already received, and then we'll move on to the questions in the chat box. We have, again, starting out in this field years back, what do you think are the differences that are felt in the risk management perspective of, the industries now that we have, or crisis management in general, now that we have a pandemic going on and we have a lot of activities, still a lot of protection activities going on. So what are the differences that you felt years before for crisis management and for risk management in general, and about the resources that we are having now or the activities happening now?
So it's a fact that during pandemic, there have been problems at site as well. So what we used to do, I'm comparing this pandemic issue with some of the Bandh days. We used to have, India, Bharat Bandh, Bombay Bandh, things like that. What we used to do, we used to select a group of people, provide them accommodation within the power plant, and make 3 shifts or 2 shifts working, provide them the food. That kind of a thing we used to do it. Now, pandemic is something likely more extended people. In fact, during the pandemic times, our HR department and others, because that was in the month of March and April and all that, that's when they are very, very busy. They had a very, very tough time. But fortunately, these days, we have everything on remote. So you can work on your computers and remote. So all those problems got solved because people are working from home. But as far as the plant is concerned, you've got to keep people inside the premises or take some special permission, because we used to have a colony people are residing very close to the power plant. So they used to bring them from their home with full police protection. So that was happening. But in this particular year, I'm sure they would have managed it in the same manner as in the past.
Yes, so thank you, ma'am. Now I think we have 2 questions in the chat box. So the first one is, what do you think would be the reason for the quality decrement of engineers nowadays? So what exactly?
Quality of what?
The quality decrement of engineers these days, and what is the difference in the system now and what happened during your times? So
yeah, that's a question which I think we need not even worry about it in the present time, because earlier days, as I said, very few ladies were there. And if I am not able to do late work and all that, similar men are able to do that work, that discrimination is bound to be there. And it is not because I am at fault or they are at fault. But being a lady, I've got to accept it. Yes, I cannot do it because of the limitations. As I said, later on, when we got the permission, I used to come in the middle of the night at 12:31, with, of course, vehicles being provided. But I have come in the middle of the night. See, these days, we are all working from home, so we don't have to worry so much. But those days, we used to leave our families, children. Our children will all the time feel that mother is not there when they are needed. So it's a sacrifice that one makes. See, ultimately, it comes to your family, your surroundings, what support you get from them. This is very important for all the family people. You got to get family support. Without them, you cannot continue with your service. This is a typical case for all women.
yes, that's so
Is there
true.
another question you had? What was that?
Yeah, so we have one more question in the chat box that have you ever had a role model or an individual who inspired you to take up engineering and pursue your career in
now, before that role model, I must tell you that why I became an accidental engineer. I missed that. Honestly, my goal right from my childhood was to become a doctor. I never thought I will enter into engineering. But when I went in for my, those days, I don't know about today's, those days we had to separate out our subjects at a very early stage. So when I went in for botany, zoology and others, and I was quite good in mathematics too. So the two, I had to branch out. And then I went in for that line. I had, being a, like I said, conservative family, vegetarians and all that. These days, frog dissection is not the actual frog dissection. Those days, we literally had to dissect the frog. So I was getting that feeling that I couldn't do it. And 3 months down the line, my mother felt that I'm not eating proper food. And she said, I'm not going to make you continue with this line. But at the same time, I was very good in mathematics. So my principal said, you can choose your engineering side. So he allowed me to go for that. And that's how I've landed as an engineer today. So that's why sometimes I call myself as an accidental engineer.
Ma'am, so addressing the question about your role model or an individual who inspired you. Yeah.
I didn't have any role model as such. As a lady, I didn't have any. But I used to see my father. My father was an engineer. I used to see him working very hard. And our family had a lot of educated people, highly. And as a child, I was also very much interested in education. I passed out at a too early an age because we didn't have the KG and all that. I think I passed out even by 14 and a half. I must have come out of the school, or even before 14, something like that. So that desire, zeal for education, what made me do it. And we were staying in a colony where my father was serving, all were engineers, probably that. And another key factor which also played in my line was, as I said, the civil engineer who was there with me, her father was a civil engineer. And they wanted her to do engineering to continue their profession. They had their own. So they came and asked me, she was my classmate in maths group. So they came and asked me, why don't you send your daughter also for engineering? And that also played a role in my case. Otherwise, I didn't have anything as a role model or something like that. These are the inputs that happened in my career. Then of course, I didn't take civil engineering. I took electrical engineering. That's how it went.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, ma'am, we have one more question. So what is your take on the new passing out engineers taking up a research career rather than working in the corporates?
Now, corporate sectors are also encouraging a lot of, as I said, Mr. Kohli, for example, he would make us go to IITs on Saturdays to do a lot of research work. Now, in today's environment, what a corporate is doing, it's not fair for me to comment because I've been out of touch with corporate for the last 15 years. But from what I understand, they are encouraging people to do the research, because if they carry out the research and come out like emission control, carbon, all these factors will help. So we started giving steady leave to our people to go abroad to continue the research work. But doing research alone is not sufficient. You must gain plant of your corporate experience to grow up.
So I guess the question was answered. So any more questions, participants? We have ma'am here, so please put in your questions if you have any, or else I guess we'll move on to the ending of the session.
I do hope my session was useful to your people.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's my question to you people.
Definitely. Yeah.
Anywin, before you move on, I would just like to comment. Ma'am, I am from the manufacturing side and I could relate 100% to what you were saying. I don't have so much of experience. I have close to 27 years, but I'm also working in a plant. And you have related it so well between what is the emerging technology and the technology alone can't do anything. It's, of course, the application and the people involved. You have brought it so beautifully well. I really hope our younger generation, whoever listening, takes cue from this. So thank you so much, ma'am, for that.
Thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity you all gave me. And that too, post-retirement after a long time.
No,
Thank you.
I mean, such women only can inspire more people like us also. We need also a lot of energy, ma'am. So thank you so much. Please stay safe. Are you from Bangalore, ma'am? Are you staying in Bangalore?
Yes, I'm staying in Bangalore.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
See how technology has connected us all over.
Yes. Yeah. Over to you, Anuvinda. Thanks.
One more thanks from my side, ma'am. It was really wonderful. Not only the facts which you shared, but also like the energy you have presented during this conversation. At this age, it's really motivating for all of us. I think for all the generation.
Thank
also.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
all your nice words.
Yeah, thank you.
And Meenakshi, also the fact that there is going to be only engineers and no more of women. I mean, the gender thing, which is really something we also have to push ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yes. So, ma'am, 1 second. So, I'd like to officially thank you, ma'am, for joining us today here. We are extremely glad to have you, to hear from you the experience you had as a person who was in the domain for before a lot of years. So, we'd like to present you this memento, a small token of gratitude from our side. We'd like to present you with a small memento. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us today on behalf of the whole Kerala section team. We thank you so much.
IEEE is very close to me because I was also a very active member in those years, in my younger days.
Yeah, glad to hear that, ma'am. So once again, thank you so much. Thank you from the whole Kerala section for spending your time and joining us today. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your talk and also interacting with us. So thank you so much. And next, I'd like to thank Sharada ma'am, Chair of IEEE Kerala Section, for joining us today for officially inaugurating the event and also addressing the gathering. Thank you so much, Sharada ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Anvinda.
How did Mr. Shankar find us? My question to Mr. Shankar, Dr. Shankar.
Speaking, actually, it's a lot of insights.
Shankar, you're not audible.
Yeah, sound is a bit feeble.
Is it okay now?
Yeah,
Not
it's
yet.
audible, but it's, yeah, the sound is quite feeble.
Stable, just
Yeah,
let
yes,
me
sir.
change.
Now it's okay, sir.
I hope it's okay now.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes.
See, I must also tell Mr. Shankar that when we deputed people for training abroad, our lady engineer was doing the driving there for all the men there, because only she carried the license with her. It happened to be so. So she was doing the driving. So we had arranged, all this, as someone said, HR related, even training, we made sure that everybody goes. We utilized the 3 months opportunity of the ticket, concession ticket. We sent maximum people, got them trained, and then all were damn happy. Without HR, nothing is possible, and HR is not the department, HR is you. That is my fundamental and final statement to all of you.
So, Shankar sir, if you'd like to.
Yes, I hope it's audible.
Yeah, yes, sir, yes.
Okay, okay. Ma'am, like Sharma ma'am said, the way you talked with your own experience in the past experience, you have a very vast experience. It's indeed a take away for me as a young person also, because I would say that comparing to you and Sharma ma'am, I would say I am a young person in the career. I have around only 10 years of experience in such. So being in an academia and to know what is actually really happening in the industry and what is the experience you had there, it's actually quite interesting to know that. And the first thing that you told about your visit over there, and they were expecting the placard and all. So those things actually, it's quite motivational. So there are a lot more, but I really loved the interaction session between Ananda as well as ma'am. Thank you for having me here as well. And I'm deeply honored to be in this part. So thank you, Meenakshi ma'am, for this, and Ananda for the invitation. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. So next, a big thanks to Mini ma'am who have joined us today, and thank you, Mini ma'am, for
Thank you,
joining us
Anand.
today and
My pleasure.
addressing the gathering. Next, I'd like to wholeheartedly thank Meenakshi ma'am, without whose support we wouldn't have been able to do this. Thank you so much, Meenakshi ma'am, for joining us and also delivering the welcome address. Thank you so much for your constant guidance and support as well.
Thank you, Anuvinda.
And also a big thanks to Shankar sir for again mentoring us and guiding us in all the stages. Thank you so much for your constant support as well. So yeah. So once again, thanking Indu ma'am, a big thanks to Indu ma'am for joining us today to have been a part of this amazing session. Your talk was really inspiring, and we really got to know about the technology and the field which was present years back. A huge thanks to you for that. Again, a big thanks from the whole team. So, so that's it for today, everyone. Thank you so much for your participation today. Thanks to all the volunteers and my whole team to have come here today. So, so we'll just end the session by taking a group photo, a virtual group photo to be precise. This is the only way we can have this. So I request all the participants to please turn on your videos so that we can have a group photo with the guest and all the dignitaries. And Srividya, I guess you'll be handling the picture.
Yes.
Sure. So everyone, please switch on your videos.
Do you want me to be there, or I can go?
Yes, ma'am. We request you to be there.
We request
Very much you have to be there.
Yeah. We'd like to take a picture with you only. Okay. So, Sridhya, if you can take the picture, I guess.
Everyone. everyone please to turn on your.
Yeah, you can proceed, I guess. So we'll just maybe count up to 3 and then, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
And then
three,
IEEE, right?
yeah, we'll say IEEE, that's right.
IEEE.
Yeah.
It's 3, 2, 1.
IEEE.
Probably there's too much of reflection on my specs.
Yeah, that's completely okay. Yeah. Shweta, I hope it's done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
there, let her take the photograph now without my specs.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We'll take one more. We'll go for one more. Shweta.
yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So, thank you
ma'am.
everyone for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
Once again, thanking all the participants. So let's wind up for today. Thank you all. Have a great day.